Hi, Terry Hodgkinson Sifu. Just wanted to mention how important it is to take some time out and not just train indoors, but get outside and train outdoors. Growing up in the training as a teenager, I trained a lot outdoors. I trained a lot in environments that you see here in the background around me. I was lucky enough to live close to a nature reserve, a park that led to a creek similar to this, the Etobicoke Creek, but led way up into lots of bush. So subsequently I was able to train a lot in natural surroundings. The trees became my training partners. The earth became a test because it was uneven in certain places, unstable, so my legs had to develop and grow stronger to maintain my footing and balance. Training in water was always something that was interesting because often when you're training in water, it's not the same as training in dry land. So, and again, the terrain is difficult, and depending how deep the water is, then you have other things to challenge you. As an example, if you're training at the beach and you're in the water, you can do a whole form, a sequence of moves, of which we have 18 moves, we have 32 moves, we have 64 moves, particular forms that you move through. And training in the water up to your neck per se gives you a whole different feeling in training your forms, and it's a wonderful thing to do because it allows you to work different muscles that you never worked before, and it allows you to maintain your awareness of your biomechanics and your calibration, which is your muscle tension and softness for speed and power, which is totally different when you're submerged underwater. So these are additional ways that you can train, and there's nothing better than to be surrounded by nature when you're training. Again, I say, I don't know, you can't really see because I'm not moving the camera around, but there's hills all around me. This is another area that I used to take people on group trips to train in because the hills are massive here. And we used to train on these hills doing stances up and down, doing kicks up and down, doing self-defense techniques up and down. Why? Because it was such a different terrain than being in your school on an even floor with temperature controls, and sort of the ground that you're working on is one texture. Not in nature. It's all different. You have to also work through sunshine in your eyes at times, or different temperatures. Have you ever trained in winter outside in nature? I've trained on frozen lakes. There's so many different aspects and elements of nature that are wonderful to get in touch with when you're training. And you really should do that because it's going to give you a whole different perspective and a whole different insight into your training, whether that's traditional martial arts training, whether that's Qigong training or Qigong training, or whether that's Tai Chi. It doesn't matter what you're training, get out and do it in nature, and you'll feel different than being in four walls. Not just because of the challenges of everything that's around, but because of the elements of nature. You're going to find rejuvenated and replenished. There's beautiful energies moving in and around a natural environment that when you sync with those beautiful energies and vibrations, you're going to find a whole different level of centeredness. So give it a shot, and remember, training indoors is not the full package. You need to get outside and you need to train outside. And you need to train in different ways, not just your training with forms, but you need to train self-defense outside. You need to do other things, sparring outside if that's part of your practice. Train it all outside at some point or another because it's going to give you a whole different perspective. So I hope that helps, and make sure you get out there and do some training. Even if you don't like the outdoors that much, do it at least, a percentage of the time, just so you can see what it's like. Who knows, you might end up liking it if you don't. For me, I love it. I would train outside most of the time if I could, but in Canada, we have about 6 or 7 months of winter, and it's not always easy to train outside, especially when you're teaching others. Okay? So when you can get out there and do it, be sure to do it, and I guarantee you're going to find a different experience. And send me an email or drop me a line or a phone call and let me know what your experience is. I'd like to know. Okay, so take care for now. Remember, train hard, but train smart.